So I wanted to discuss today a really common problem for my students and all singers. I come across this so often and I find myself talking about it a lot. So I just wanted to go into it a little bit. And it's, of course, the raising of the larynx and how to kind of control all these muscles that get in the way when we're trying to sing, which includes pulling up of the larynx in the throat. That's the whole voice box. And the sort of squeezing and engagement of swallowing muscles above the larynx, everything around here, the tightening of the root of the tongue, which you can kind of feel under the chin there as well. There's a range of problems that people have that you can kind of see. And if you want to work on this stuff, then you need to have a look at what's happening. Try and record yourself singing and notice what you do. As you rise up, so if I take this, and you can start to feel this tension as you get higher, you may be having a problem with the larynx rising up. And people talk about it a lot. It's a common thing. You find a lot of information about this online. So we need to learn to dampen down the larynx and lower them a bit. A little bit like a yawn. You use the yawn to help train the muscles to just stay lower down. We don't want to overdo it. You wouldn't want to sing like that. You don't necessarily need to sound like that when you're singing. But if we do a really dopey sound, the larynx will go really down in the throat like that. We can't sing like that, but you're trying to learn how to control it. If you can learn how to control it, then obviously you can control it, right? So as they rise up, you might notice that and you can just reset and adjust and just pull them down a little bit, stop them going up. There will be a bit of movement, that's fine. But learn how to lower your larynx like that. Use the yawn to practice this kind of open feel. We're trying to get an open throat. We're trying to make everything feel open. We're trying to make sure these muscles don't engage. So do a little exercise. You can do anything really, but if you're rising up, if you do any sort of hum or whatever, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you are recognizing when it starts to happen. So, and you sort of carefully adjust and kind of navigate your way through your range. And that's really hard to do unless you've taught the voice how to do it. It happens really naturally for me because I've worked on it a lot. And there are a lot of things going on, a lot of different adjustments going on as you rise up in pitch. Like already there, halfway up, feels like it's not really a tricky part of your range. You're not going to notice the major problems until you get a bit higher, but it starts down here, as I've said before. So as you rise up like that, you could try it on an ooh sound as well. You want to be feeling. Try singing, just rising up, do it as on an M, do it on an ooh, do it on an R, do it on whatever you like. Really, different vowels may create more of a problem, so it's worth trying it on different ones. But as you rise up, does that start to squeeze? Does this start to pull? Do you maybe go like this and start to pull, your jaws jutting out, the neck's doing things? What happens as you do that exercise? If you really want to fix problems in your voice, then we need to play around with these things, okay? Ooh, like already at that pitch, you will probably start to feel this squeeze happening, this pulling up happening. So play around trying to notice that. Don't sing any further. Don't carry on going if it does it. Just ooh, see if you can get to that note. Ooh, that's really relaxed. So this, to me, everything feels so loose and relaxed. It's really nice and comfortable. But for you, you might have this tension building up. And as I often say, the tension may not be as obvious to you as it is to someone who's worked on this stuff, because it's just what you're used to. So it feels like that's what singing feels like. But it perhaps should not feel like that. It should feel much more comfortable than that. And singing might have this intense kind of vibe about it that you're not really realizing is intense as it is. So it's a case of almost kind of resetting your interpretation of the sensations that you feel when you sing. We're trying to get to the point where this stuff's not really doing anything. And therefore, you're allowing the right part of the voice to do its job. The pulling back of the muscles to get that pitch to raise and go higher inside the larynx is the only thing that needs to be happening. Everything else outside of it is a problem, and it's just fighting against your voice. Of course, it's a natural instinct in the voice for that to happen because, you know, we can't really control all this very easily. We have to learn how to control all these parts of ourselves. It's part of our survival mechanism. I read something the other day which added to that, idea that I always talk about, which is all part of instinctive kind of reflex, survival mechanisms in the body. But it does, in the fight, flight, or freeze, which is a really awkward phrase to say, isn't it? It's a part of that response as well. If you're feeling the fear of something, this will constrict. And there's this little bit of fear when we go to try and hit those notes that makes it constrict. And you try and do something with this part of your body, you know that you're trying to do something with your voice, everything around there just gets involved. It just goes, oh yeah, I'll do that. And it doesn't need to, or it needs not to. It really needs to get out of the way. So you end up fighting against your own voice. And believe me, if anyone's experienced that, I have. And I dealt with a lot of problems like this, and obviously ended up having an operation on my voice a few years ago. So I know all about these issues. I'm not someone who's just always known how to sing. It didn't ever come easily for me. It came, it was difficult. It was very difficult to work out how to use my voice. It took a long time. So that's why I'm best placed to teach people. Because I've experienced a lot of this stuff for myself. So try some exercises, anything at all. There's a lot of adjusting going on as I did just that there. It wasn't perfect, but as I rise up, I'm allowing these muscles to pull back and do their job inside the larynx. They're only tiny, but we sort of exaggerate that with this kind of visualization of you will probably get that, and you might not realize that's what's happening. You might not realize that's incredibly damaging or destructive or not making you feel comfortable when you sing, but you'd be so used to it that you just kind of go with it anyway, because you don't know how else to get a sound to come out. So watch yourself in the mirror, watch yourself on a phone, record it and watch it back. That's better because you can really see what's going on when you're not actually physically doing it at the same time. Already as you get up into the sort of middle part of your range, just a little bit above your chest voice and into the sort of middle area, you will feel this happening. We need to kind of think wide. Even to the extremes. Create a sound that is nothing like what you want to sound like. Please be aware that vocal training, it's not about things sounding good. Most of the time, often, a lot of the time, we're not really trying to sound good. And people are obviously obsessed with what they sound like. I mean, obviously, you're singing. But I always almost find that funny now. It's not really where the focus should be. And to train these muscles out of the way, forget what it sounds like. You are trying to understand how to control things in the way that's going to get you to feel comfortable and to sound comfortable. And then obviously you will sound good. But we've got to do stupid things to get there. We've got to do weird stuff to get there. We've got to play around and experiment and create sounds that aren't a finished article. They're not the end result that you're looking for. So try to just try to allow yourself to experiment with sounds that aren't what you want to sound like as a singer, so you can learn how to control your voice. I think it's really important to do that, and I don't think sometimes it takes a long time for people to buy into that. Just see if you can go even up to that pitch. maybe just slightly yawn into that sound a little bit. Because if you yawn, the soft palate at the roof of the mouth will lift as well. The larynx will stay low. Everything will feel nice and open. Okay. I should have put the strap on this guitar, but we could do, I haven't thought about this, but we could do... I'm letting that go quite light and falsetto, but we are trying to get rid of tension. So that might be a helpful thing to do. If you do it on an ooh sound, it's a bit of a lower larynx vowel in itself, so that will help as well. Try it with a hum. Just do that slide really slowly, okay? So follow along with this. You're trying to feel for that rising and that gripping that starts to happen. It's like, oh yeah, I can feel it. So just stop. If you feel it, stop and go back. I don't mind that I'm flipping a little bit, or it's not brilliantly consistent going up to that top note. I'm just trying to not let the larynx go up. Don't worry about other things. We're just trying to control this one aspect. Don't worry about the sound. Just worry about whether that is going and gripping. All of these swallowing muscles and all of this just needs to get out of the way. It's not part of singing. It's not part of what helps produce sound. The thing that's producing sound is inside the larynx. It's those little chords stretching and coming together really fast, stretching to the next note and coming back down again, compressing back down and going fatter and chunkier and smaller. I say smaller, sort of in length. So, yeah, let's do the next one. You'll probably notice it pulling upwards already there. So we could just go back. Think of a yawn, think of a dopey sound a little bit. That's even harder. Go really slowly on the slide upwards so you can feel the adjustments. Feel the stretch of the chords at every note in between. Feel them gradually trying to find that note. And as you do that, you learn to recognize that other things are getting involved that shouldn't be, and you start to get better at spotting it happening. Catch your voice in the act. I'm going to do a video titled that. As it starts to go up, if you feel that, ooh, stop. I'm going quite light there. Anything you can do to change that habit from happening and notice it. First thing is to notice it. First thing is to get really good at spotting that feeling, the grip, the pulling up. It's doing it again. Okay, I did that again. Just try and reset. Think about the yawn. It's just staying there. It's staying put. It's not pulling. There's nothing tense here at all. People do massages. I'm not exactly... I've looked it up a couple of times and done a little bit of it myself. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how to do massages around some of these muscles and things, but you can help loosen things up by massaging under the tongue, root, under the chin there, under the jaw bones, and everything that's attached to the top of the larynx, the hyoid bone, everything that kind of attaches here. You can massage some of these muscles and loosen them up and try and relax them a bit as part of a warm-up. It's commonly used. Have a look online for someone else telling you how to do that. I'm not going to do that in this video now. But you want to get really good at recognizing that feeling and noticing that, oh my God, I've been doing that every time I sing. I can't believe I didn't realize that I was doing that all the time. And let's see if you can improve your ability to control the larynx and keep them lower in the throat. And just relax all this stuff. Anything you can do. Don't worry about sound. Just worry about whether that is happening or not. Okay? Yeah, so that's about it. I just wanted to get on and talk about how to control the larynx. Try the exercise there that I was just doing around those sorts of pitches and see if you can spot what's going on. If you like this content, feel free to join me on Patreon, where I can actually have a look at what's happening in your voice when you send me video clips, and I will give you some advice and exercises to help specifically with what's happening for you. And that's a great way to support this channel and get some one-to-one coaching, essentially, for a very, very small fee. So yeah, thank you very much today. I'll see you on the next video. The best of luck with your singing, and pay attention to this. Don't just brush over it. Really try and pay attention to this. You will feel 1,000 times better about your voice when you start to control it. Take care.